Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Gloves Are Off podcast. Here's your host, Mark Razzoli.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gloves Are Off podcast. Today we're going to be going into, talking about New York City, a cesspool of crime, and in this case, import the third world, get the third world. We understand the situation at the border. Joe Biden's open border policy. Joe Biden and the Democrats are clearly trying to create a new constituency for the Democrat Party by allowing all these illegal aliens into the country, unvetted criminals, terrorists. We see major cities throughout America now under siege by these illegal alien thugs, savages, not just attacking police officers, attacking residents, dragging senior citizens down the street while on mopeds trying to steal their phones. Total chaos throughout America.
Yes, and your topic today is, as you just said, illegal immigrant. We have a crisis in New York City, and let's jump right in. Footage shows an NYPD officer and lieutenant telling the migrants to move along in Manhattan at the end of last January, and eventually a scuffle breaks out between the cops and a suspect who is wrestled to the ground. Video from security cameras shows other migrants that were joining in the fight. They were kicking and pulling, kicking the police officers in the stomach, in the head. So what happened here, Mark?
Well, listen, clearly we see the situation. Cops are afraid to defend themselves. I mean, New York City is basically, not basically, they have, besides defunding the police, they have disarmed the police. You know, when you're going out on patrol and in the back of in your mind, you know that if whether you're justified in defending yourself or not, you're most likely going to end up getting indicted and be, slandered through the newspapers, slandered by Alvin Bragg, because we know he's anti-cop. The DA that's anti-cop. These poor cops now, they're the ones being handcuffed by radical Democrat policies that protect criminals. Just imagine that. You're in Times Square, New York. People come from all over the world to go there, and you're not safe because you have these third world savages now going around in packs, figuring out who they're going to rob. They're running international crime operations now in New York City because we allowed them to come into this country unvetted. Joe Biden and Democrats open borders.
It's crazy.
They attack cops. And I have news for you. We see them getting one of the cops getting kicked in the head. You can die from a kick to the head.
Yeah.
I feel real bad for these cops right now because they are truly handcuffed.
So I'm going to show you the next slide here. We have 4 of these migrant thugs were busted, and we don't know. You can tell us, Mark, who are they and what became of them after the arrest? I know they were arrested, but what happened from there?
Well, they were arrested, and the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, released them without bail. First off, they're supposed to be getting detained because they're in this country illegally. That in itself, we could talk about for an hour. Then they assault police officers, which they should have been immediately remanded to Rikers Island. And their flight risks, which they subsequently end up doing. How do you give bail to someone that's here illegally? Flight risk, an indictable offense, which I believe they since indicted one of them, and there's probably going to be more arrests.
Yeah,
as the investigation continues.
A New York City spokesperson said, the men and women of the NYPD put their lives on the line every single day, working tirelessly to keep us and our streets safe. Violence of any kind, and no less against our officers, is unacceptable and should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. A lot of these criminals have had prior arrests even, but they were released. So what is happening in New York City?
Well, New York City has a soft on crime going on. The entire policy of the Democrats that are running New York City have basically, like I said at the beginning, turned New York City into a cesspool of crime. People may think we're joking with that monopoly get out of jail free card, but that's what's going on in New York City right now. Criminals have more rights than law-abiding American citizens, and especially if you're illegally. I mean, you have Darwin Andres Gomez Ezequiel, the man with 4 names. And I can tell you what they do. He'll get arrested in New York under Darwin Andres Gomez Ezequiel. This is from my experience as a detective. Then he'll go to another state. He'll get a driver's license as Darwin Gomez, get arrested and go to another state, take off the first name, the third name, and then he'll go to as Andres Ezequiel. They'll just keep rotating names. This is what they do. These illegal aliens who come here and they get involved in these criminal operations. They go from state to state, and now these sanctuary states are just, welcoming them now because they're protected. And the reason why, you hear the New York City police chief calling these illegal aliens, these criminals, these thugs, ghost criminals. So let me explain to you what that is. What he's trying to say is there's nothing in the database, photos, cell phone information, any type of information on these guys. But the problem in New York City is they have a no cooperation with ICE. So instead of reaching out to ICE, who could possibly have information in their database on these illegal aliens, Alvin Bragg is preventing it from going on.
Is that because they're a sanctuary state?
Correct. Correct. Right. Everything's a sanctuary in New York. Then you hear the governor of New York. Everybody's outraged now. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg's outraged. He's outraged the cops were assaulted. The governor has the power to fire Alvin Bragg. He should be fired immediately. You talk about not doing his job. You take an oath of office. And during that oath of office, it doesn't say you get to pick and choose what laws you like or dislike, like it's some type of legal buffet, because it's not. They're in total violation of their oath of office. And the fact that American citizens are now second-class citizens in this country because of these Democrat policies that are protecting these scumbags is unbelievable. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the tri-state area, or probably the country, that hasn't seen that video of the illegal on the moped dragging that elderly female down the street in Manhattan, taking her cell phone, because they feel protected. If you're able to attack cops, then get out on bail, you're not even get a bail, you're released immediately, then you flee to another state. And guess who apprehended them? ICE.
Well, not only do we protect them, Mark, but we welcome them, right?
Well,
Here's Biden's basically welcoming people across the border with open arms. Why is he doing that? And what are the benefits to the Democrats?
Well, like I said earlier when we started the show, this is about building a new constituency, right? You have a constituent where they're new here, right? You get them a phone, make sure they get a license. Here in New Jersey, get a driver's license for illegal. If you're here illegally, you get a driver's license. We're a sanctuary state. We have Republicans running on it. And then you register them to vote. That's why someone has to explain to the American citizen what there needs to be negotiated when it comes to the border. We have laws in place. Those laws just have to be enforced. And I want to remind everyone, our immigration policy is just not about national security and public safety. It's also for protecting the American workforce, meaning, as anyone with a functioning brain knows, except Joe Biden and the Democrats, illegal immigration drives down wages. Because why? They work for less. They really do. But yet, Joe Biden and the Democrats don't care. That's why they want all these illegals they let into the country. They want them to be made citizens. This way they can sign them up for a vote by mail right away. That's what this is all about.
And they check
this is
off
about
the box.
changing state. Right. It's just about changing states like Texas and everything. This way you never have a Republican president again.
Check off the box that says Democrat, right?
Correct.
That's what they do. They don't direct them to make the choice themselves. They just they might even pre-fill it. Who knows?
But I want everybody just to think of this for a moment. New York City right now, you have illegal aliens running criminal operations. They commit the crime, they get released immediately. They're like rodents. Then they scurry back to to the Roach Motel for $500 a night, paid for by the taxpayer, right? So that's what Eric Adams is doing. Prepared meals, all on the taxpayer dime. We're funding this. So in essence, all these mayors have become coyotes.
Yep. Here's we got our next slide here. This is I know that you're passionate, and I know this from knowing you for the last few years. You're passionate about public safety. So, as a retired Jersey City detective, do you believe that terrorists are crossing the border? And tell us what your concerns are.
There is absolutely no doubt about it that we have terrorists operating in our country right now. Everybody forgets the first World Trade Center attack, but that bomb was made in Jersey City. The U-Haul truck was rented in Jersey City. I mean, they gave themselves up because they went back to the U-Haul Jersey City and tried to get their deposit back. And then they were told they had to report it stolen if it was actually stolen. So they get the deposit back, and they went to one of the police precincts and actually reported stolen. So you have these people operating. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the terrorists run over people in New York City. I mean, we can go on and on, all the different terrorist attacks we've had since 9/11.
Here you go. These are pictures I think that you took as a Jersey City police
These are photos that I took at Ground Zero. Okay? This is the devastation that the Democrats have forgotten about. Giving license to illegals that you can use to board planes. Everybody forgets that. A number of the hijackers had driver's licenses. Muhammad Atta had a Florida driver's license. The photo on the bottom right, that is from the famous George Bush speech. I mean, the most protected president ever. Look at all that law enforcement and EMS and fire personnel. I mean, we should never forget what happened, but apparently Joe Biden and the Democrats have. And the Democrats in New York City, what a disgrace. They dishonor the memory of all those who were lost that day. And then since then, I mean, we've been losing first responders and other people who were Ground Zero who lived in that area since it happened. But
so we have many new arrivals of illegals. They make their way to the blue sanctuary cities all across America. And New York City is even offering one-way plane tickets to those who want to go elsewhere because they're overwhelmed now. And the city's Office of Emergency Management has been supplying travel vouchers to illegals who ask for help leaving these overburdened cities. So years ago, when these Democrat-run cities boasted about being sanctuary cities, do you think, Mark, that these cities are regretting their decisions now?
Oh, of course they're regretting it, but now they can't reverse it because they have to pander to their radical base. I mean, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, recently held a press conference, and he's trying to deflect the fact that he's incompetent and he's operating a sanctuary city. I mean, he's doing a town hall and he's talking about he's announcing all his different black deputy mayors and whatnot. And he starts talking about all the chocolate he has running New York City. That's why he's hated now. Well, I got news for you, Eric Adams. You are Eric Adams and the chocolate factory because you operate in a fantasy world, So who would you consider the vanilla and the sprinkles? You moron. You're paying criminals to walk your streets. Tell how incompetent you are. You sucked as a cop and you suck as a mayor. And you have to play identity politics to deflect away because that's what the Democrats do. It's like anyone who opposes this insane illegal immigration policy. You're a racist. You're a xenophobe. This collective guilt they try to throw around if you're concerned about national security and public safety. Because they're only concerned about votes. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process.
It must be that important to them.
Oh, absolutely, because they need votes. Because anyone with common sense wouldn't be voting for these people.
This is votes over public safety.
Exactly. Identity politics and immigration right now go hand in hand with these people. And they don't care what the consequences are. I was reading earlier today about an illegal alien indicted in Texas for murder. I believe broke into an apartment and murdered a cheerleader in a bathtub, raped her, sexual assault. One life is one too many. for the sake of illegal immigration? Where's that little girl's rights, Eric Adams? And the people being mangled, maimed, and killed in New York City? You want that you're outraged by the assault on the cops, and all you're worried about is all the chocolate in your cabinet? What a jackass. Eric Adams and his chocolate factory, living in fantasy world, because that's what he's operating in.
It truly is a crisis. Places are absolutely overwhelmed with the people flooding in.
Listen, from New York to Chicago to San Francisco, look what's going on in San Francisco. You know, it's from coast to coast. We have it in New Jersey, right? Evil Phil Murphy, he won't answer any questions now. He's asking for federal aid. He won't tell you how many's been coming, how much it's cost. Him and his wife run. Imagine his wife, U.S. Senator Tammy Murphy. I mean, you kidding me? I mean, I'm no fan to Andy Kim, but you can't have like a Murphy monarchy.
I've been talking to some Democrats who are disgusted and don't even want to see her in office.
I think these party bosses, you know, bit off a little bit more than they can chew this time with her. She's an idiot. She's not qualified to be a U.S. Senator. Why? Because she's a spouse of a governor? Okay, what is that? How does that make you qualified? Because you run around promoting illegal immigration, your sanctuary state you're so damn proud of, sanctuary state for child mutilation. I ain't going to get into that. That's a whole nother show.
That is a whole other show. Tell us, what do you want to know from your listeners?
Yeah, we want to hear back from you. Do you support being a sanctuary state? Do you support having open borders? Let us know.
Let's fill up those comments. We'll get back to you. Right? Yeah. We will respond to the comments. So we'd like to hear from people.
Americans first. You know, don't forget 9/11. Can happen again.
What do you want to say to wrap up your episode, Mark?
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And as always, stay informed. You know, stay in touch. Tune in next time. This is Mark Razzoli for The Gloves Are Off. Remember, God bless America.